Óscar heads two NGOs based out of Spain. One is Big Data Spain and Big Data Hispano. Feel free to get in touch with him to participate in their events. He's also the CEO of a company called Stratio, about which I'm guessing you're going to talk now.
Okay. So first, I am going to try to explain a little bit about what is big data, because I think that most of you know what is big data, but I have been talking to some of the people here and still they don't know exactly what is it. So I will go to the classical definition. This is the 3 Bs. So big data is about volume, variety, and velocity. This is like the classical one. I have seen other ones that are like this, more Bs, and I have seen some with more than 10 words that start with B. I didn't know that there is so many words with B, but for us, these definitions are not any longer valid. For us, big data is just to get value from data with new technologies and with all the data that you have in the company. This is big data. And as I said, big data for us is the new data. So I am going to try to explain why big data is the new data. This is one of the reasons about big data. Of course, that one is not Eric Schmidt. Eric Schmidt is a more nice person. But he said in 2003 that from the beginning of humankind up to 2003, there were like 5 exabytes of data. Now we are generating that quantity every 2 days. So you can imagine the quantity of data that we have now, well, really is amazing, it's huge. Former technologies are not able any longer to handle all this data. So what is the solution? This is the solution. The solution is a room full of computers? Well, not. Really, this is the way I am going to try to explain what is big data, what is behind big data. This is a cluster. The cluster, I think, this one is the one from Facebook, one of the ones that they have. And here you have thousands of computers. Big data is trying to manage all the data using small computers working one with each other. And this is like the big shift from data technologies or previous technologies to the new ones. In big data, that we are doing is to take like all the small brains that these computers have and add these small brains one together and to use it like an incredibly huge big brain. But in such a way that it is very easy to use that huge big brain. For example, in this case, with 5,000 computers, we have 100 times more power than with Deep Blue. Deep Blue was this very big computer that was able to beat Kasparov playing chess. So with these computers, we have like 100 more power. But with maybe 1/10 of the money that Deep Blue cost at the beginning of times. So this is one part of big data, the brain. Small brains together to make a big brain. Well, we call it processing, the processing engine. And the second part is the persistence. In these computers, we have hard disk, like the ones that you have in the laptop. And then we are taking all these hard disks to make a very big one. So imagine that these computers have 2 terabytes. If you multiply that with 5,000 or 10,000 computers, you are getting something like 20 petabytes. 20 petabytes, but everyone, the companies, are just looking at very big hard disk. So this is big data, or this was big data at the beginning. Brains together to make a big one, persistent hard disk together to make a very big hard disk. And this was the beginning of big data. But I don't want only to talk about technology. I want to talk about data equal to value. So why? Here you can see some of the companies that are going IPO or that have a very big value, like Zappos. Zappos is a company that is selling shoes, and it is not that cool. But they really know a lot about their users. So here, 1.2 billions, it is really a very high value. But if you go, I will not explain all of them, but we are helping Spotify or other companies. But Uber is destroying the taxi companies all around the world. And they have a lot of data about the users, where they are, the type of cars, what are your preferences, and so on. And you can see here 40 billion value. Well, really, data equal to value. Another example. These are some of the companies, of the biggest companies in the world. Apple, of course, is using data from their users. Google, what to say about data on Google. Amazon or Facebook. There is a very, data about this. For example, for Amazon, the price earning rate, because I know that a lot of you are economists guys, so the price earning rate of Amazon is something like 150. And the normal or the average in the Dow Jones is between 10 and 15. So Amazon, the price earning rate of Amazon is 10 times bigger than the normal average company. Why? Because Amazon is the best company using the data that they have. In fact, at the beginning, when I was listening to you, Jeff Bezos saying, okay, what is your purpose for the company? And he was saying like a joke, world domination. And now I believe it. He's serious about that. So Amazon is a very clear example about that. Well, here we have some data. And now let's talk about technology. Why? Because everybody thinks that big data is something very new. But big data has been around for 10 years, so it has evolved a lot. There are some changes of technology, and there are some companies that we are helping that they are still using like the horse in front of the car. So what is the evolution and the right way to use this technology? Well, at the beginning it was batch, just a lot of data in big data lakes. And then you were processing this data during the night with several hours. And this was a very good beginning. It was Google, Yahoo, and all the big ones that started all this technology. But that was not enough. Right now, that we are trying to do with the batch data, the data that is stored in the companies, is to be able to process this data in less than 40 seconds. So the aim or the goal of this technology is to get 1 petabyte and to process it in less than 40 seconds. Just to put an example to know what is a petabyte, in Spain, the biggest companies, Santander, Telefónica, BBVA, the big ones are handling terabytes, never petabytes, maybe 100 terabytes. 1 petabyte is 10 times all the information that the biggest companies in Spain have. So the idea behind big data right now is to move 10 times more information than the ones that have Telefónica or Santander in less than a minute. And this is something that we are doing now with this technology. Then, now I am pretty fast analyzing the data that I have stored, but I want to analyze the data that is entering in my system. And this is called real-time data streaming. With real-time data streaming that I am doing, for example, for customers like El Corte Inglés or other type of clients, is to analyze what they are selling or what are doing the users in internet or in the mobile applications. And then as I am analyzing the data while it is entering in my system, I am able to cross this data with the data store and to recommend them something, or for the big banks to see if the transaction is something like a fraud, and then to cut that transaction. And I am doing this in real time. So big data was batch, now it's interactive, and also real-time data streaming with the data that is entering the system. And of course, the future. For us, this is the most important part. All the algorithms, the machine learning, with this, we are trying to predict the future. What are the products that my clients or my customers are going to demand in the future? What is the next action that I should recommend to this user that maybe is in an office of my bank or is in internet? Because everybody is thinking with big data about the digital channels. You also have to think about the physical channels. El Corte Inglés, web, internet, e-commerce, but also the stores, the biggest stores that they have here. So for us, future is one of the most important aspects of big data. And that we are doing is to combine all this, to get the data that is stored, the data that is entering in the systems, and the predictions. For example, to say to any retail company, like Carrefour or anyone, how many quantities of a TV model they have to acquire, because they have 10 in stores, they are selling 2, and with this offer, they are going to sell 5 more in the next month. We are combining this to say, okay, you have to ask for 3 more, not more, just 3. Well, at the end, just to see the evolution of this technology, it is, like I said, processing. Big data was small brains together getting a big brain. And the processing engine has evolved. This is an example. This is a Tesla. It is a very nice car. It is an electric car. In fact, this is the car that I'm trying to convince my wife to buy, so I always put it in the slide. But it has a very good engine, and big data has evolved from combustion engines with petrol to electric engines. So the engines right now are 100 times faster than the previous one. So I always said this, but Hadoop is legacy. Hadoop was the technology that companies were using before. Hadoop processing right now is legacy. And this is a big opportunity for Europe, because Europe had a delay about the big data adoption. And so a lot of companies have been using and doing big projects with the previous engine, and they have invested a lot of money, but as Europe is now starting to do big data projects, they can use the new engine. They can go Tesla. So this is a very good opportunity for the European delay. But in big data, we also have changed the way to persist, to store the data. And this is the interior of Tesla, because with the engine, I was not able to convince my wife, and I said, okay, this is a very nice interior, and now I almost get it. So the persistence also has changed. Now we are storing the data not in file system, but something called NoSQL databases. So the evolution of big data right now is new processing plus NoSQL databases. And I will not go deeper into this because it's too technological. So what is that we are doing with the companies? What are the use cases? The big one is customer-centric. That we are doing is to evolve the companies from product-centric companies. They think about the product, how many they are selling, and so on, to get the data from the customers, to enrich all the data, to go to the client 360 degrees, which is get data, the data that I have inside my company, the data that is outside the company for those clients, those customers, in social networks or open data and so on, and to make a customer-centric company, to know a lot about my customers and to be able to design the products just for them, to recommend, and to do marketing one-to-one. Not one to a segment, but to Antonio Garcia Perez, because I know him pretty well and I know that he's going to buy this and not other things. So this is really the big one. But the future is to join the operational and informational layers. So it is something like this. And this, for us, is the revolution. You don't have to think any longer about the applications behind the data. Data by itself has value. And this is that I am going to try to explain now. Well, I think that everybody knows what this is. This is matrix, the first one.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
So, there is no applications. There is only data, and I am going to try to put some examples about that. Data exists by itself. This is real-time bidding. Almost 70% of all the marketing in Internet is now in real-time bidding. What they are doing is when you go to a page, before the page appears in your screen, they are saying, okay, Antonio Sánchez Jiménez is in this page, which is about dogs. They are selling the banners in that page, and in real time, someone is saying, okay, I will pay $1 for that space for Antonio Sánchez Jiménez. And all this is real time. And then Antonio Sánchez Jiménez will see some publicity about anything, cats, dogs, whatever. The good part is that the data about Antonio Sánchez Jiménez is part of a company that is selling this data to the ones that are bidding for the advertisement. So really right now, data, they are trading with our data all around the world. 70% of all the publicity in Internet is handled in this way, with our data. This is Gmail. Gmail, just to make it very fast, is 4% of the incomes of Google, so it is like peanuts. Really, Google is a company that is trading with data. And in Gmail, they are analyzing all the data that you have in your emails, all the data. And when you are signing with Gmail, you are allowing this, but nobody is reading this. So Gmail is not about emails. Gmail is about to get data in order to, well, for all the other business of Google. So what is the future of the data? What is the evolution? Well, this is another very good example. This is Google, the cars that have these sensors. Nobody is driving. When you go by San Francisco and then you see nobody driving, it's something very surprising. But this is not about cars. That we are doing now is getting with these sensors in the car all the information that is around the car. So what do you think, that Google wants to enter in the car industry, or that Google wants to have people driving and getting the data all around the world for them? It is exactly the same example that for the Gmail. So everything is about data. Data is value, and this is that they are doing and that the companies are doing, of course. Data comes in our watch, in our mobile. The mobile is the heart of data. The wearables, more sensors. And this is other of the big points here. The companies are generating a lot of data, but the sensors are generating like 1,000 times more information than the companies and Internet. So that we were trying was to put in data the companies, and now we are trying to transform the world with the sensors into data. So first was companies, then the world, and the second, of course, is this. This is the CERN. CERN is this, well, it is in Swiss, and it is generating every day 50 times more information than all the Internet together. And with CERN, that we are trying to understand is the universe. So with this technology, we were trying to analyze the companies, then the world, and second, the universe. And this is, these are some of the reasons that we say that big data is the new data. So take the red pill, and world is data, and data is your value. Thank you.
We have time now for we have about 5 minutes for questions. If you have questions and you want to raise your hands, we can take it. Sure. Do you have access to a mic there? While that's getting set up, I'm super happy to hear a marketer talk about technology, a tech person talk about technology, and an operations person talk about technology. It really is a tech party here.
So, to Mr. Ménez, how much accuracy could we expect nowadays from analyzing big data with a predictive algorithm, and how much would that increase if we had access to quantic computation?
Well, I completely agree with Juan about there is not only about technology, the people and the processes are very important, and the ultimate intelligence is always human. And I think we are very lucky about that. So it doesn't depend only in the technology. Of course, right now with this technology, if you have the same maturity for the processes and for the people that is using the technology, that you can say is that you can improve between 2 and 5 times the accuracy of the prediction, and then to have or to manage your store or any other things, important things like risk or any other thing, improving like twice that we were doing with former technology, but always if you have the right people using the technology. In this case, it's very important the scientists, data engineers. If you have a good team with that, you will improve more than 2 times.
So is there another question?
Sorry, about the quantum technology, yeah. This is something like, I was in San Francisco talking with the president of Silicon Graphics. It's a very old company, and when I met the guy, I said, wow, you are still working. And he said, oh, very kind of you, yes, we are still working. And I say, and what are you doing? And they were selling big computers, some of them with quantum technology. But this is something very peculiar. I think there are only 2 in the whole world in companies working. So we are very far from that technology. I think that maybe 20 or more years before quantum technology can go to the market.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Is there another question? So if there's no other question, I want to leave one last question to the audience, to the panel, and you can decide how you'd like to take it. One of the things that all 3 of you mentioned, that it's not about technology. You know, there's a change, and it's technology-enabled something. It has to be difficult to do, otherwise everybody would be doing it, whether it is creating a customer-centric company or identifying insight that is human equipped, or in your case, the story of how you use the data to actually make decisions. What is the big challenge? Why is it not everybody doing it?
Well, we can go in.
Yeah, I'll take a pass. I think it goes back to what I said about, in my opinion, about the right questions, right? I think sometimes companies get tangled around the technology and around the, if I buy this, I'll be able to do it, and projects are not successful. So it sounds easy, but it's really, like I go back to the example that I shared, right? And talking about accuracy, our models were significantly more accurate than the models that we're using before. Like, and I can measure that by the R-square, and I go, yeah, absolutely, right? But it was, the culture at Disney was very peculiar in getting these 30 and 40-year-old tenure in terms of having worked with the company to change their minds in terms of trusting an algorithm that's making decisions for them, to change that from they were coming from, in terms of doing gut feeling and other type of decision making. That's the biggest barrier, right? So it's the culture and the organization, the biggest challenge, and that's why it may not be as easy. I think startups and companies that are growing in the digital age are in a huge advantage in the sense that they are starting as technology companies, right? So technology is part of their DNA, data is part of their DNA, right? So the more oriented towards asking the right questions and thinking how can I leverage technology and data to make the right decisions, the CEOs and the leaders are, the better the companies will be set up for the future. That's
as you were saying in the boardroom, right?
Definitely, I think we have so many. There is a lack of leadership. I think the CEOs many of them are very wimpy. They are very blanditos, and they don't take serious decisions, really. They don't want, they want, some of them, they only care about their own reputation and they don't care about transforming the company. I think it's essential for the business to make sure that you convey your message to your team. Your team is critical for the business. They are the drivers of your company. They have to believe in your product. If they don't believe in your product and they don't understand your product, the employees, you are out of business. So make sure that whatever you do with your brand, make sure that you are a truly important leader. Make sure that you convey your message to your key audience, which is your employees, and I'm sure your employees are going to be loving. They are going to be talking with others. They are going to sell your own product. So, I think we have to be really strong because it is a very important moment to shift companies. And if companies don't shift, they are going to die very soon.
Yeah, in my opinion, for me, the big challenge really is, of course, you have to use the best technology available, because otherwise maybe you are going to fight with your normal shotgun. The people in front of you is with a laser sword, and you don't have any chance to win. But the culture and the people is very important. And I would say that some of the CEOs, at least with big data and digitalization right now, in the 2015, the companies want to change. We are seeing this all around the world. And the CEOs go to want to move for the digitalization in the classical companies, because they are seeing that the internet citizens, the ones that have been born in internet, in the digital area, they are moving pretty fast. So the ones that are not internet citizens, that they are tourists, because they were not born in the digital area, they want to go as fast as these ones. So the first is to get the right technology, of course, but also to change the culture, to go agile, to go for this second velocity, and to change the processes to really, if you want to compete with a company like Google that is getting the payments from the banks and so on, you have to change the culture of your organization. Yeah. And we are seeing very good examples about this here in Spain and all around the world. BBA with the digital bank, and a lot of CEOs are doing very brave decisions about that to change the culture with the right technology.
Okay, so I think there's some hope that it's not all technology, and maybe the youth will take care of us. They will come with leadership and hopefully transform the world to make it a better place. Thank you very much. Thank you for the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you, folks.